Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark, and Donald Trump has put out his initial responses to the second failed assassination attempt, and the rhetoric that he's using is something that my friend and colleague JVL has written about many times, so I wanted to bring him in so we can react to it together. But before we talk about the implications, I have to just read you what he said to Fox News Digital. I guess he called in Fox News Digital to give them a reaction to the failed assassination attempt on the golf course. Trump tells Fox News that rhetoric is causing me to be shot at. And he specifically references comments calling him a threat to democracy as being the type of rhetoric that is causing him to be shot at. Later in the interview, he goes on to say, "These are people that want to destroy our country. It is called the enemy from within. They are the real threat." So, Jonathan, the rhetoric is causing him to get shot at, and also the other political side is the enemy within that is a real threat that wants to destroy the country. Can you square that circle for me?
Yeah. It's the Spider-Man meme with the three Spider-Men pointing at each other. But this is the move, right? This is how he does the whole thing, which he runs around and he makes it into a dangerous political environment, and people on the other side say, holy shit, this is dangerous. We can't talk this way. You can't remove the guardrails on political violence. And then political violence happens, and it happens in a place like Charlottesville, or the Texas El Paso shooter, or the January 6th insurrection, and people are going, Jesus, don't you see why this is so dangerous? And he doesn't care. And then, violence spills over into his world. And suddenly he's like, hey, all you people with your rhetoric, stop.
Yeah. Tamp down that rhetoric. That is what's causing this. From, just nuanced rhetoric is Donald Trump's bailiwick, right? I mean, he wants others to tamp down the rhetoric. He goes on to Twitter. He's back on Twitter. Which is a problem in itself. But here he goes from just kind of like absurdly contradictory and hypocritical in a way that just makes you want to roll your eyes, to a place that is like at minimum dangerous, adjacent, and possibly insightful. Let me just say that this seems like the type of tweet that he drafted, and then he had some of the people around him maybe punch up a little bit, because there are a few four-syllable...
The human printer worked on this tweet?
Yeah, there are a few four-syllable words in here that I don't think are in him and Scavino's vocab. So I think that some of the adults in the room around him were involved in the drafting of this tweet. The rhetoric lies as exemplified by the false statements made by Comrade Kamala Harris during the rigged and highly partisan ABC debate, and all of the ridiculous lawsuits specifically designed to inflict damage on Joe's, then Kamala's, political opponent, me, has taken politics in our country to a whole new level of hatred, abuse, and distrust. Because of this communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying. And it will only get worse. I mean, he leaves it open for interpretation there. But to me, that is like very deeply irresponsible, bloody shirt waving, and kind of an implication that it will only get worse, and the worse might be bullets going the other direction.
If you continue to try to apply the rule of law and have justice be done blindly, then sorry, I guess things are going to... because that's what this is, right? It's societal blackmail.
Right.
You people... I broke the law, but I have a lot of followers and a lot of people who like me. And those people, not all of them, aren't so stable. And they have a lot of guns. And if you try to hold me to account for the things I did, well, you're going to make them very angry.
Yeah, political blackmail is right. It's the stand back and stand by side of this, right? It's like, it's like if you just say an objective fact that I threaten democracy, then there might be retribution. If you just, if the courts indict me, if a grand jury of my peers agrees that I should seek trial, and then another jury of my peers convicts me, then you don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah. And if something does happen, then it's really the other side's fault for trying to do anything to mess with me. It's deeply alarming. And the other thing is, it almost on the Bulwark YouTube channel, it almost bears not mentioning that the person that has been inciting violence rhetorically is Donald Trump, but just for the sake of it, let's go through some of the hits here. This was one that I had forgotten until recently, and that is Trump talking about how you can only get away with shooting migrants in the Florida Panhandle. Let's watch that.
How do you stop these people? You can't. There's no... That's only in the Panhandle you can get away with that statement.
JBL? I mean,
yeah.
I guess he's laughing there.
He was laughing at, because they're one of his people who said shoot them. And, look, he didn't say it himself. He just laughed about it and then made a joke. I mean, this is why people like us were clutching our pearls starting back in 2016 about this. Because political violence is a taboo in America and has been really since the end of Jim Crow. We've kept a pretty good lid. There was some bad times during the 70s with the left and the Weather Underground and, the Students for Democratic Society and stuff. But that was reasonably small scale. It wasn't institutional level, and it was dealt with pretty well. And since then, we've had a really nice run of, keep making political violence something that we simply wouldn't tolerate. And Trump comes along in 2016 and starts offering that to people. And it turns out that the people love it. And these taboos exist because this shit is dangerous.
Yeah.
And once you break them, it's a Pandora's box. You don't know where it's going to fly around. Once you start telling people that it's okay to knock the crap out of other people and, it's okay to, it's a joke when you joke about shooting people. You don't know who it is, because the people who would do something like that aren't normal, coherent, rational, healthy people, right? They are going to be people who have real problems and who you can't look at them and say, oh, well, this person was clearly a, supporter of X, Y, Z.
Right.
They're nutcases. And
to that point, I want to go to the history of how this has been handled in the past, but let's just play a quick highlight reel of Trump.
Maybe he should have been roughed up, because it was absolutely disgusting what he was doing.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so there you go. And you referenced knock the crap out of him, punch him in the face. He should have been roughed up.
Vermin.
We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
Calling people vermin,
shocking.
Calling the media the enemy of the people.
I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are.
Which is, these are... That's crazy stuff.
That's crazy
right?
stuff. And then rough them up stuff that was mostly from 2016. That was shocking when it happened. Everybody's part of the reason why it was shocking is we hadn't heard a politician talk like this. And that is true about the assassination attempts, right? We have had assassination attempts before on politicians. Reagan, to Gerald Ford, obviously successful in the JFK. The way and that's just kind of in the television era where you would have a response, right? The way that they all responded, there's nothing like this tweet. There was nothing in Reagan's words. There was no subliminal, oh, this is the other side. They were too harsh on me. Their ads were too tough against me. Or you would never have seen a politician, at least at the presidential level, do any kind of knock the crap out of them rhetoric, and you would never have seen a politician that had been targeted with political violence immediately, as Trump has done this morning, go to, they did this and they better watch out.
This happened. People, there were a couple pot shots taken at Clinton when he was in the White House, I think. I want to see somebody landed a plane in the White House lawn when Clinton. These things happen because, again, it's a big country, 330 million people. You're going to have a lot of crazies in any group of 330 million. And the extent to which you look at, now I forget if Trump himself was dismissive of Paul Pelosi being assaulted, or if it was just
he made fun of it.
Don
He made jokes
Jr.
about it.
Right. This is And here's the other thing. There's this total asymmetry here where every single Democrat, every single, responsible elected person in the Democratic world, following both of Trump's, the attacks on Trump, immediately said all of the things that you're supposed to say. Right. This is reprehensible. There's no place for this. So glad that he's okay. Wish him.
We should fund the
full,
Secret
fast
Service
recovery.
more. We should look into this. There should be investigations.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. All of that stuff. And the Republican Party doesn't do it in the other direction. Like, they don't even feel the need to say the things, even if they would be insincere. They don't even feel the need to fake insincerity or fake sincerity, I guess. And that's what worries me, right? Because once you don't even feel like the polite rules need to apply, you're in a dark place, man.
Really dark. And we'll leave you in a dark place. Here was Don Jr. on the Paul Pelosi thing. Here was Don. Look at this post Don Jr. put up on the screen here of like a costume. He's like, I've got the full Paul Pelosi costume. It's the hammer and the dirty underwear. And it's like, this is sick stuff. Like, that guy was actually attacked at very, very serious health repercussions. And, the Trump family jokes about it and then tries to do this. Oh, you guys need to tone down your rhetoric. You got, all of this stuff, this just sort of fake moralistic nonsense in the fallout. It's pretty bleak. Anyway,
it's an arsonist complaining about fire.
Yeah,
is what it is, right? Because, this is why I want to be very specific about this. The major complaint, from people like us, dating back to 2016, even 2015, was this guy is excusing political violence.
Yeah.
And then he, goes and, having created a climate of political violence, says that the people who tried to hold me to account because I advocated for political violence, they're the ones creating a climate of political violence. Like, this is, the word gaslighting is overused, but that's all this is.
Indeed. Okay. Well, the Trump responses to this had popped out since I taped the podcast with Bill Kristol this morning, so I wanted to hop on here with JVL. You can count on us when stuff's breaking in the news, so subscribe to the feed, like us, give us a little thumbs up down there, and we will be talking to you soon. Thanks, JVL.
You got it, bud.